Maryland basketball gets its first Big Ten win of the season.
You are Locked On Terps, your daily podcast on the Maryland Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm Tre Moore, host of Locked On Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So thank you guys for making us part of your day. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The college football playoff is here, and FanDuel is the best place to get into the action all playoff long. So visit FanDuel.com and to get your college football playoff profit boost every game a day. Maryland football gets its first Big Ten win of the season against Penn State. We've been waiting a while. It hasn't come. We've been waited some more. It didn't come, but Maryland basketball finally got its first Big Ten win of the season, which I think is a pretty big, significant win under Buzz Williams for Maryland basketball this year. I know it doesn't maybe mean a ton in terms of like making the tournament or things like that in the grand scheme of things, but winning a game like this, I do think matters for Maryland basketball, a team that has been searching all year to find kind of any ounce of kind of progress, any ounce of getting better, or any ounce of kind of success at all. We've been looking at it, and it's been really hard to find. So I do think it's a big win for Maryland basketball in that sense, just being able to win a Big Ten game. It's important under Buzz Williams. It's important to see your hard work eventually pay off and eventually actually win a game. And so I do think that this is a pretty big deal for Maryland basketball. This year's been pretty sad. It's been pretty sad, and it's been pretty bad. I haven't quite seen this bad of a year and kind of a while for Maryland basketball. I always compare it to a couple years ago when I was covering the team with Jameer Young in that team, and Dante Scott and guys like that, and Julian Reese. And even that team wasn't as bad as this. We were bad, but we weren't this bad. But I want to be positive. How about us getting a win at home? I thought it was by far our best opportunity to win a game against a Penn State team that just hasn't been that good this year. And I said it yesterday on this. I did a little extra podcast yesterday talking about Maryland's pass rush. And then I talked about basketball in the second segment. If you want to hear about Maryland football pass rush, you can go check that out. It was on an extra Sunday video. But I also said Maryland basketball, this is your best chance probably to win a game against a Penn State team that just hasn't been that good. Now, their scores indicate that they're better than maybe people think, but Maryland kind of shut that down. They had already lost to Purdue. They lost UCLA. They lost to Illinois. They lost to Michigan. They got crushed by Pitt. They got crushed by Indiana. Like, this is a team. They lost to Michigan State. This is a team that if we were going to win a Big Ten game, this was going to be our best chance. And when you look at Maryland's schedule, yeah, we still have some winnable ones left, but I think it was important to get that one out the way, especially with the streak that Maryland has coming up. Like, let's be realistic. You might not be seeing a win for a little bit until maybe early February. You have Illinois on Wednesday, who's the 13th team in the country, ranked team in the country right now. You got Michigan State on Saturday. We all know Tom Izzo. They're really good. They're borderline top 10 team in the country. And then you got Purdue, who's the top 5 team in the country next couple weeks from now on Sunday. And then it eases up a little bit with Ohio State and Minnesota, but still not easy wins to get in the Big Ten. And so you would look at the schedule and you're like, I don't know when Maryland's going to have the opportunity to really win a game. So this one was really important to get for the Terps. And I saw them come together and have one of the better performances I've seen over the past, obviously this year, but even for a while now, I've seen from Maryland basketball. I don't know if I've seen a Maryland basketball team play this well, to be completely honest. I don't know the last time. I know last year we had some big games, but I don't know the last time we shot this well, especially kind of with the expectation of where our team was at and how our team was functioning. I don't know the last time I saw our team play like this. And I'll give credit to Buzz Williams. I do want to say that. I'll give a lot of credit to Buzz Williams because it is not easy. And I'll talk about this later. It is not easy to keep a team intact when you're 0-6 in the Big Ten, looking for any type of progress, looking for any type of win that can help Maryland basketball. It is not easy to go there and get it done for Maryland basketball. It just doesn't always happen. Guys start giving up, but this team doesn't look like that, and I can appreciate that a lot. And so I saw a good offensive effort, which we haven't seen. I'll talk about more individual performances in the second segment, but man, I saw some guys have obviously our best shooting game of the year. We shot 53% from the three-point arc. We're a really tough team to beat if we're going to shoot that well from the three-point arc, which obviously a lot of that's going to come down to Coit, who I'll talk about in the second segment. What a game from him. He's such an interesting, lovable type of player, but what a game from him. I thought he was good, but basically everyone in the lineup was pretty good besides maybe a couple different guys, which was really cool to see. We tried out some different lineups as well, but it also helped us. So, and it's not like Penn State didn't shoot well from the three-point arc. If you told me Penn State went 38% from three, I would have probably said we lost. But Maryland going 53% obviously keeps us in a really good spot, and then 54% from the field as well. And then one thing that I saw Maryland do, and this is where it's like, it's just heart, it's energy. It's something that I haven't seen us do a ton of. Rebound the ball. We out-rebounded Penn State 21-39. A Maryland team that's small, like, mind you, Elijah Sanders, George Turksons, Alex Austin, Solomon Washington, none of those guys are true fives. Like, I would argue all those guys are fours, maybe even closer to threes than they are to fives, but none of those guys are true fives, and they're still putting in the work. They're still putting in the effort to be able to make it so that Maryland basketball can be able to rebound. And that's just pure effort to me versus the team at Penn State. They got some big guys up front. Like that kid, Ivan Jurek, he's 7 feet tall. The freshman, Ivan Jurek, 7 feet tall. And then the kid, Josh Reed, he's not small either. What is he, like 6'9"? So a Maryland lineup that was outsized, still out-rebounded Penn State by how many is that? 18 rebounds. To me, that's a really successful game, and we've seen us average 13 turnovers a game, and we kept it somewhat low at 11. I thought that was really successful for Maryland basketball as well. I know 11 is still like it's an okay number. It's not like the best thing in the world, but we knew Penn State. One of the things about Penn State is they're not going to turn it over, and they really didn't. So they only turned it over 7 times versus our 11, which was good enough for us to be able to kind of stay in the game and be able to win the game rather easily. And then the offensive glass, 4 offensive rebounds from Penn State, 12 from us. Just grit from our guys. And that's the identity. That's Buzz Williams to me. That's Buzz Williams and kind of in a nutshell right there is you're going to play hard. You're going to play defense. The offense might not always be the smoothest looking thing, which I hope can kind of improve under the Buzz Williams era. But I feel like that's kind of who he is as a person. But we're going to play hard. We're going to out-rebound you. We're going to have athletes. We're going to be long defensively. We're going to be tough to score on. We might make some mistakes offensively. It might not shoot the ball the best every night, but it's going to be really hard to beat us and beat our formula. And so I saw kind of both sides of the Buzz Williams. I saw us with the hustle and the grit and beat a Penn State team that didn't look like they wanted to be there as much as us, especially in the first half. You look at the first half score, 26-56, dominated them in the first half. I turned it on and I'm like, dang, we're firing on all cylinders, something that's rare this year for Maryland basketball. But it was awesome to be able to see. It was pretty cool to be able to watch. I loved watching it, and it was cool to see Maryland basketball have a team that a lot of people thought might not win a game at all this year, including me. But we were favored in that Penn State game, but we blew them out. We were only, 1-point favorites? So that was really awesome to see for Maryland basketball, and we just got to keep going. And I thought some individuals had a really high-end game. I know I've been waiting to talk about this. I wanted to get into in the second segment to talk about individual performances, especially in particular one guy who, man, I mean, when he gets hot, he's hot. We'll talk about that next. What I thought of his performance. We'll talk about that next. The college football playoff is here, and FanDuel is giving all customers even more ways to get in on the action every single game day of the playoffs. Because right now, every college football playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost waiting for them in the app. And here's what I love about it. You get to use a profit boost on the bets you already feel good about. Ride with the favorite when you think a team controls the matchup. Take a shot on the underdog if you feel an upset coming, or build a parlay around the players and moments you think decide the game. Then you apply profit boosts and go after even bigger winnings. And when you win, FanDuel pays out instantly, which is perfect for playoff football. FanDuel is the best place to get into the action all playoff long. So visit FanDuel.com to get your college football playoff profit boost every game day. There's so many different things to bet on FanDuel right now, whether it's the NFL playoffs is finishing up and you're going to have the Super Bowl soon, the college football national championship tonight. You can bet on that. The NHL, I know a lot of you guys watch NBA or college football, college basketball. There's so many different things on FanDuel. Then MLB will be here before we know it. So you guys have to head over to FanDuel right now. Maryland basketball, how about Diggy Coit having the performance of his life? But he's had a couple of these for Maryland basketball. I think one of the more interesting, complex players I've ever seen. Obviously, you guys know if you're watching this, you know he dropped 40 points against Penn State. And right now, I think he's our best scorer on the team. We need him to score. He's one of the more interesting players I've seen from Maryland basketball, because you'll see some guys like Derek Queen, like, okay, yeah, he's going to score a lot of points, obviously. Like, he's an NBA guy who's going to rebound pretty well. Like, he was going to do that stuff well. This guy's, 5'10"? Listed at 5'11" on ESPN. I don't know if that's true. And he's had, 3 games this year above 30 points. The most complex player I've seen from Maryland basketball, because Jameer Young would have like a 38 performance, but he also averaged 21 points. Like he was scoring kind of every single game in the 20s. David Coit, Diggy Coit, whatever you want to call him, he'll have these performances where he won't be necessarily that good for a stretch, or won't be that efficient, won't shoot the ball well. And then all of a sudden, you see against USC, he drops 30 points, which I thought was kept it kind of respectable for a lot of the game. 50% from the field, 4 of 11 from the three-point arc. Like, we'll take that every day from him with only 1 turnover. Went pretty crazy against USC. And then against Penn State, a big reason we won this game, nearly half of our points came from this kid. He went 9 of 15 from the three-point arc, which is crazy on its own, 60% and 43 points, 14 and 23 from the field. Like, what a game from Diggy Coit. Still the most complicated, interesting kid kind of to watch. It's streaky is what it is. It's definitely streaky. And I wasn't sure at the beginning of the season he was going to work just with kind of his size limitations and things like that. But he also had a 31-point game against Michigan. So he's a guy that it's weird. It's kind of hard to explain. And then, we can't forget, I almost forgot, against Mount St. Mary's had a 41-point game. I've never seen anything like it. Like, I've never seen a guy that will score average 8 for like a 4-game stretch, and then all of a sudden for Maryland basketball, we'll have 30, and then we'll have 43 against Penn State. Big reason we win that game. I'm not saying we don't win that game without him, but it's close. It's a close ball game, I bet, if he's not in that game. If he doesn't shoot 60% from the three-point arc, if he doesn't drop 43 points, I'm pretty sure it's a pretty close game. And so that was one of the coolest performances I've seen. But him as a player, I'm wondering, I hope he can keep this up. I don't mind him taking a ton of shots for this team. This Maryland basketball team is in a weird spot. Like, we're struggling offensively. If he wants to shoot the ball, if he wants to take tough shots and he's making them, I don't mind. So, like, some teams, you might be like, no, we don't want that. Like, it might be a bad signal that he's dropping 43 for a team. But for us, it's like, whatever's going to work, you got to do for Maryland basketball, because right now, not a lot has worked offensively. Not a lot of sets have worked. We can't usually get assisted buckets. Like different things like that haven't worked for Maryland basketball. So if there's a guy like Diggy who can drop 40, why not? And so that was one of the coolest performances I've seen from a guy, and he's done it like 3 other times this year. But the other games he'll be like have like 7 points, and it feels like there's no in between for the kid. Like if you look at it, 43 points against Penn State, USC 30 points, 7 points against UCLA, 11 points against Indiana, 8 against Oregon, 0 against Old Dominion, and then it's 15 against UVA, and then it's 31 against Michigan, and then it's back to 13, 4, 6, 6, 11, and then it's 41 and 19. Like it's kind of a funny experience, the Diggy Coit experience. But man, I mean, he's making the case to kind of just allow him to do his thing, jack a lot of shots. There's not a lot of offensive players that can get it done on our team, but I thought that was really cool. It was also good to see the freshman Darius Adams have a really solid game with 14 points, shot the ball well from the three-point arc, had a couple of threes. Man, he's got potential. When you watch him play, you're like, that kid, I pray he's back next year. He's a guy that if he comes back next year, could look great for Maryland basketball. I pray he doesn't enter the portal or anything like that. I pray that he sticks with Buzz Williams, because I think next year could be a big year for Darius Adams. And then Elijah Sanders has picked it up. Ever since like there's a little stretch where it was like this guy's not playing well at all, he's been playing well. Shot the ball well, 50% from 3 of 6, 16 points. I thought he played really well too. And then also Solomon Washington, I thought had a pretty good game too. I thought the biggest part about him was, he had 6 points, which isn't anything special, but man, he's rebounding. And that's kind of what I expect from him. 2 steals, 2 assists, 11 rebounds. Like that's kind of what you want from Solomon Washington. 7 offensive. That's a guy that cares, that goes hard, that crashes the boards hard. And it doesn't always show up in the scoring column, but it shows up in the other stats in a lot of different ways. And he plays defense. And I wish we had him from the start of the year. Maybe things could be different, but he's kind of the heart and soul of the team. I feel like he kind of gives it his all every time out. And then Andre Mills also had 9 points, made 2 threes. I thought he played well too. But I thought overall it was obviously a good performance. Isaiah Watts just can't get going. He just can't. I kind of don't know exactly why. I don't know why he can't really figure it out, but he hasn't been able to get going. Miles Rice's minutes are just really down, which is definitely disappointing for him. I know it definitely stinks for a guy like him kind of coming in here. I expect him to be able to be a pretty good guard, but he's just not doing too much. Colin Metcalf rebounded the ball pretty well, which was definitely good to see. But the biggest part of our rebounding was definitely Solomon Washington. Alex Austin also had 5 points. He's the guy that I want to see stick around next year. There were some good performances from players. They also got their kid, the freshman Caden Mingo, back. Good player, man. He looked good out there. I know he turned over the ball a little bit, had 3 turnovers, but Caden Mingo, that kid looked pretty good, smooth with the ball. 19 points for him. But I thought overall they didn't even do a bad job offensively. I mean, they did a bad job offensively in the first half, but they didn't do a bad job offensively in the second half. But I just thought Maryland had its best game of the year, and I would love to see us keep it up. How do I think it can keep going? How do I think Maryland can keep this up? I'll talk about it next. What I think is the key in Maryland's performance. We'll talk about that next. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life, and this year TurboTax is making it easier than ever just to hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every deduction. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. It's It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. For a limited time, you can save your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. And if a TurboTax effort didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. Maryland basketball, I think I would love to see it continue to play at the level it did against Penn State. Now, let's not kid ourselves. Penn State ain't a good team, and I just talked about that for the last 20 minutes. So you guys already know the team's not good. They haven't beaten anyone this year. They're 0-7 in Big Ten player compared to our 1-6. But there was things you could take away from that Penn State win that you're like, I would love to see Maryland basketball continue to do it. And if they continue to do it, not saying we win any of these games against Michigan State or Purdue or against Illinois on Wednesday, but you might have a chance. You never know with some of these games. You might have a chance against Illinois on the road. Remember, we beat them when they were ranked. It was similar. They were like 13th-ish a couple of years ago. We were able to beat them. You just never know. So I don't want to count Maryland basketball completely out, but I do think there's some things that you can take away from that performance and say, if Maryland does that, then I think they can be in some of these games. One thing is have more assisted buckets. I saw against Penn State us have more assisted buckets compared to the game before where we only had 6 assists, which that just can't happen. This game was much better against Penn State, I thought, with 12 assists. I thought that was pretty big. Like I said before, our offense ain't great. And so if you're not running sets, if you're not moving the ball, if guys aren't getting assists in that way, then kind of what are you doing as an offense, So I think that's something that can really improve at Maryland basketball is the ball movement, but it was better against Penn State. And so that's something that I think if we can continue to do that, we can continue to maybe have a chance against Illinois, like I said, or Michigan State, or even if it's not the next 3 games, maybe February 5th against Ohio State at home, we can win, or on February 8th against Minnesota, we can win. Who knows, So that would be something that I would definitely want to see from Maryland basketball. And then the heart on the glass. Against Penn State, I saw Solomon Washington put heart, effort to get to different rebounds. And so I think if they can cancel it out against some of these teams, especially you play Michigan State, they're usually a pretty good rebounding team. I know Purdue has a couple of big dudes up front. Against Penn State, it's not going to be as drastic of a difference against Penn State. But if we can just keep the rebounding margin close and not so lopsided, which we've had in a couple of games, I think there's an opportunity for us to kind of keep it going under Buzz Williams and maybe get a couple more wins. I know that's not something that's going to be easy. I know that's not something that's just a given or you can just do, but I do think it's something that can happen, that can help Maryland basketball be able to continue to win games, hopefully get a couple more Big Ten wins. I'm not asking to go undefeated, but, I think keeping the rebounding margin close as a smaller team is something that is important. And then I think the next big thing for Maryland basketball, and then my last part is let Coit continue to cook. I mean, there's not a ton of offense here. I know he's undersized. I know some of these shots are difficult, but if he hits a heater like this again, which he's proven he'll do some games, if he gets enough shot attempts, if he's functioning the right way, it can lead us to a win. It can. If he has another 35-point game and he's 7 to 10 from the three-point arc, it can literally carry us over the hump to be able to upset someone, to be able to win. And I'm okay with him taking some tough contested shots and they're not necessarily always going in, or he has a tough shooting game if it means he's going to have a couple more of these. And he's proven that some games he's going to be able to do this. And he's got 4 of them now. So I'm like, I can't even be like, this isn't going to work. I think let him go. It might be our best offense. It might be our best opportunity to win games. And Keeping Darius Adams and Elijah Sanders playing at a solid level, I think, is also extremely important. They're playing pretty decently, which is definitely good to watch for Maryland basketball. So I think that's something else that we definitely want to continue to see Maryland basketball able to do. And they're playing at a pretty good level. So I was definitely excited to see that. But I think Maryland basketball, I think Buzz Williams, I think that was a big win for him. First Big Ten win. I think stuff's going in the right direction. I'm not expecting a tournament or anything like that, but I do think there's some things there with Maryland basketball where you can kind of hang your hat on. And so I do think some things are going pretty well. But that's all we have for today. Thank you guys for listening to Locked On Terps. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. We're here every day talking Maryland football and basketball. So thank you guys for listening to Locked On Terps.